Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Daily Reminder. There was no dream, no miracle, no voice falling from the sky, only a void that made no noise, a void that slipped into my silences, into my successes, into my forced laughter. And one day I understood this emptiness was not a weakness. It was a calling, not a call to change religion, not a call to join a group, a call to return to something older than me. Something I may have forgotten, but he had never forgotten me. It's not a story of love at first sight. It's the story of a comeback. Not spectacular, but profound. Not loud, but irresistible. And this return, we call Islam. 1. The thirst for meaning in a saturated world style. Narrative, an interior documentary, almost whispered to the soul. People often told me, "You're lucky you have everything you need." And maybe on the surface it was true. I had a circle of friends, weekend getaways, a career that was progressing. I was ticking the boxes, but there was a void. Not a noisy void. No, a silent void. The kind of emptiness that doesn't scream, but exhausts you. A kind of invisible hunger, like a soul crying out for something it itself can't name. I remember those evenings when I came home, my eyes still shining from the screens, my head filled with messages, videos, promises, and yet a heaviness, as if I had consumed tons of things without digesting any of them. The world around me was overflowing with noise, images, and opinions, but inside me, it was a desert, arid, suffocated. I wasn't looking to become religious. It wasn't a plan nor a decision. What I was looking for was truth, not a concept, not a school of thought, just the truth, the one that exists even when we deny it. I wanted to understand why I was here, why this heart beats, why I have this need for peace that cannot be bought. But every time I asked the question, I was answered with distractions. They told me, you have to travel. You have to try new things. You have to work on yourself. But no one spoke to my soul. No one told me what it wanted to hear. Because the truth is, no one listens to him. So I started searching in secret, not out of shame, out of modesty. I typed words like purpose of life, existence, absolute truth. And there in the algorithm, in the flow of information, I began to hear different sentences. Words that weren't there to sell, not there to seduce, just here to remind. Words that spoke of return, of essence, of light. I didn't understand yet, but I felt. It was the first time my heart beat not out of fear or excitement, but out of gratitude. I discovered that there was a world beyond what I was served every day. A world where we don't live in search of validation, but in search of truth. A world where peace comes not from what you get, but from what you achieve. I hadn't found any answers yet, but I recognized something. This world saturated me, but my thirst was deeper than anything it could offer me. And this thirst, maybe it was the beginning of something great. First contact with Islam. Style, poetic, sincere. Every word is an echo of the soul. I wasn't looking. That day, I was scrolling. Once again, the screen, the images, the voices. Nothing new until that sound. A song, no, not a song. Something deeper. A voice, deep, peaceful, slow, sure. A huge murmur. It was in Arabic. A language I didn't understand, but that voice, she pierced me, not in the head, not in the heart, but in that place that no one names, where the tears that are not sad reside. Those that spring forth when your soul recognizes a truth that your tongue does not yet know how to express. I started crying, not tears of pain, no joy either. Tears that came from a place inside me that I had forgotten. Then I was told, this is the book of God. But I haven't heard a book. I heard a presence. There was a density in these sounds, as if each syllable carried a weight that even the air around me felt. And yet, it was light, fluid. It was not a human language. It was a reminder, a call without noise. It's strange. I, who had always seen religion as a construct, a set of rules, dogmas, traditions, there I had just experienced something naked, vertical. I didn't understand the words, but everything in me understood the message. It was like someone was calling me, not by my first name, but because of who I am deep down. Not the man the world knows, but the one whom God never ceased to see. There was nothing to believe, nothing to prove, nothing to debate. There was just this moment, this silence that was no longer empty, this heart that was no longer dry, this light that I had not sought, but which visibly had found me. I remember thinking to myself, if that's it, then I want to listen to it, even if I don't understand it, because understanding was no longer a priority. What I wanted now, it was feeling again. And in this Arabic voice, in this mysterious and sacred flow, I encountered for the first time not a religion, but a trace of the divine, invisible but real, intimate yet universal. I had just touched Islam, not with my hands, not with my brain, but with my soul, and she recognized her origin. 3. The fall of prejudices. Style raw, realistic, unfiltered. Let's be clear, before all this, I was afraid of Islam, not a conscious fear, not the one that makes you run, a more subtle fear, the one we swallow without even realizing it, the one we ingest from newspapers, TV shows, and conversations. They don't teach you how to feel it. They inject it into you, and one day you realize you have it without knowing where it comes from. In my mind, Islam was the other, the foreigner, the extreme. It was something rigid, closed, even dangerous. And then one day I got tired of being afraid of what I didn't know. So I did something simple, almost banal. I spoke with a Muslim, not a preacher, not a scholar, a man, someone normal, someone alive. And I listened, not to debate, not to prove, just listen. It's amazing what you learn when you keep your mouth shut. He didn't bombard me with verses. He didn't tell me the story of his religion. He just said one sentence to me, just one. Islam is voluntary submission to God, not to a man, not to a system, not to a culture, to God alone. I remained silent because that word, voluntary, he broke something inside me. Everything I thought I knew, all the cliches, all the confusions. In a second, everything became a blur. No one had ever spoken to me about God in these terms. Not a cultural, tribal, folkloric God, but of a pure God beyond everything. And the act of submitting to it, not out of fear, not out of heritage, but by choice. I have revised my judgments, all of them. I asked myself, if what I think I know is wrong, what else do I have to question? And the more I listened, the more I felt there was clarity behind the caricature, peace behind the wall. That's when I understood. It wasn't Islam that I feared. That was the image I had of it. A twisted, recycled, marketed image. A fear that served interests, but never the truth. And this truth had a face that I did not yet recognize. But she had already started talking to me. Not from a screen anymore, but in front of me. Human, present, calm. That day, a wall fell, not with noise, but with a breath that said, you don't know what Islam is yet, but you're ready to discover it. 4. The experience of Tawheed style, spiritual, intense, like a light shining through the soul. There are ideas that cross your mind, and then there are those that rip off your old skin. Tawheed, that was it. Not another word in a religious dictionary, not a concept to memorize. It was a mild earthquake, a sacred vertigo, a gain, unique, formless, without limit, unrivaled, no face to worship, no statue to beg, no man to idolize, just him. Uniqueness, totality, absolute. I had never heard of God in this way. I was presented with images, representations, mixed figures between heaven and earth. But here in this word, Tawheed, I found the opposite of idolatry. I found purity. God was no longer a symbol. He was the origin, the only true one, the only necessary one. Everything else was just creation. And that's when I understood. I didn't need an intermediary, no need for a sacred place, no need for a saint, a master. a living messenger. I could close my eyes and speak to him. Just me, him, nothing between us. A breath, an intention, a reconnection. The day I realized this, I felt light, as if chains had been removed from me that I no longer even saw, those of doubt, those of dependence, those of fear. Tawheed, it's not just the idea that there is only one God. It is the inner affirmation that there is nothing worthy of being placed above you, except him. And that is an intimate revolution. The world pushes you to kneel before 1,000 things: money, other people, likes, your own ego. But here we tell you none deserve your prostration. None. And suddenly you raise your head, because you are no longer subject to the world. You are connected to the one who created it. It is not an emotional refuge. It is an architecture of the soul, a verticality, a return to basics. Tawheed is when your heart stops searching for fragments of truth and begins to align with the one source of all truth. And in this moment, there was no more noise, no more questions, no more masks. There was simply a presence, invisible, but certain. 5. The first prayer, a moment outside of time style, pure emotion, almost sacred. Every word is an inner prostration. I didn't know anything, nor the gestures, nor the words, neither order, nor form. But I was there on a carpet that was nothing special, in a room that was neither a mosque nor a sanctuary, just a floor, and me on top, a heart beating faster than my thoughts, discomfort in my limbs, but a peace in my soul. I didn't know how to pray, but that day I prayed. I raised my hands awkwardly. I put them where I thought they should be. I didn't know the words, so I whispered what I could, but deep down, I didn't need to speak, because even before I said anything, my silence was already screaming, "Here I am." And when I said for the first time, "Allah Akbar," the world stopped. Time has stood still. The universe has gone into standby, as if everything I had experienced before was just a prologue to this moment. It was not a repetition of gestures. It was not a ritual. It was a comeback, a return to the one I had always known without knowing it. I had wandered into philosophies, doctrines, systems. I had tasted 1,000 definitions of the divine. But there, in this clumsy prostration, I felt something I had never tasted. The truth that is lived, not thought. When my forehead touched the ground, I didn't feel the humiliation. I felt dignity, the real one, the one we find when we surrender to something greater than ourselves. It was strange to feel so small and yet is so complete, to possess nothing, and yet to receive everything. I didn't know about invocations yet, but that day I understood one thing: prayer is not a speech, it is an encounter with the one who has been waiting for me forever, who never forced me to come, but who never stopped leaving the door open for me. And when I stood up, I was no longer the same. There was no divine light, no heavenly voice, but I was different, because I was finally home, not in a place, in one direction. I didn't change overnight. I didn't understand everything, but I said one sentence, just one, and that sentence redefined my place in the universe. I haven't become perfect. I became conscious, aware that I am not here by chance, that peace cannot be bought, that she is not found. It is received when one sincerely turns to the one who gives it. Becoming a Muslim is not about changing your identity. It's finally remove the layers, the illusions, the masks, and to remain before the one who has always known you, even when you no longer knew yourself. I didn't join a religion. I have returned to my nature, and this nature whispers softly to whoever wants to hear it: there is no God but He. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.